Monopolies on the stock market are basically impossible to find in the 21st century. Antitrust laws and the trust busting of the early 1900s separated almost all monopolies into many smaller companies. That being said, there is still a way to invest in what is basically a monopoly even in 2024. This is done by investing in duopolies, two companies that dominate the market share of a certain commodity or sector. This, in essence, gives the investor the same amount of market share as if they were invested in a monopoly, except it is actually still possible. There aren't that many of these around, but that is why in this video I'm going to go over 3 different pairs of duopolies that investors should be aware of. So let us get right into it. Before we start this video, make sure to like and subscribe if you're new to the channel because I will be posting dividend stock videos just like this one every few days. Firstly, we have 2 fantastic growth dividend stocks, Visa and MasterCard. I personally own Visa in my portfolio, but MasterCard has proven to be just as good, if not an even better stock in the last few years. These 2 stocks, when in combination with each other, make up over 85% of the credit card market in the United States. They aren't a global duopoly as other large companies such as UnionPay take up a good amount of space internationally, but as far as American ownership goes, these 2 companies control the credit card space. One notable investor who has invested in both of these over the past few years has been Warren Buffett, as Berkshire Hathaway has stakes in both of these companies. Not only is the market share great, but so is the sector itself. Credit cards, banking, and finance is an integral part of the modern world. By owning a large portion of one of these sectors, almost every consumer in the United States is going to use your business at some point. Both of these stocks have done fantastically in recent history as well, making them look like great pickups even now when they are reaching all-time highs. Visa in the past 5 years is up 96% in capital appreciation alone, and MasterCard is doing even better with it up 110% in that same period of time. It is worth noting that MasterCard does have a slightly lower dividend at 0.6% while Visa yields 0.75%, but to be completely honest, this difference is negligible. Both of these stocks also have fantastic dividend growth, with Visa having a 16.27% 5-year dividend CAGR, with it trending upwards in recent years, and with MasterCard having an extremely similar one as well. Visa has a payout ratio of 21%, which is super low and showcases ample room for growth. This is largely the same with MasterCard, with that company being slightly lower, sitting at a 19% payout ratio. Both of these payout ratios are great and show that the businesses are cash rich. These businesses have so much cash on hand because the profit margins on these companies are so immense. These businesses have a few minute differences in terms of stock statistics, but generally speaking, they do a good job at mimicking one another. For this reason, it may not be a bad idea to go 50-50 on these 2 stocks instead of pouring all of your money into one position. The difference in the long term will be negligible, but you will also give yourself good exposure to the vast majority of the credit and debit card world. In my opinion, I prefer Visa due to their slightly higher dividend yield, lower PE ratio, and more mature business. That being said, both of these stocks are absolutely buys for the long term, especially if you love dividend growth stocks. I chose Visa, but choosing either in your portfolio is something I absolutely recommend unless you need a higher yield. The second duopoly on this list is in the home improvement sector, and it is Home Depot and Lowe's. These 2 stocks own around 72% of the home improvement market here in the United States. Although that isn't as high as Visa and MasterCard's respective market share, it is still pretty massive. Home Depot is the bigger of these 2 stocks, sitting at a market cap of over $350 billion, which is pretty insane. The stock sits at a moderate PE of around 22 and yields 2.35%, which is respectable. Lowe's, on the other hand, is a considerably smaller company, sitting at a market cap of around $125 billion. They have a lower PE than Home Depot by a decent chunk, sitting at just below 17, which is pretty fair. The dividend is also respectable, with a starting yield just north of 2%. However, the starting yield of these 2 stocks are not what make their dividends so great. In reality, the strong dividend CAGR of these companies is what brings much of their investor attention. These 2 companies have done historically well and have used their profits to reward shareholders by rapidly growing their dividend. For example, Lowe's has a 5-year dividend CAGR of 18.65%. Although the most recent increases are slightly lower than that, the most recent hike of 16.22% is nothing to scoff at. These dividend hikes not only have been massive, but consistent as well, as Lowe's has 60 years of dividend increasing history, making them a dividend king. These level of hikes for a dividend king are basically unheard of. Most dividend kings start hiking their dividend by the mid-single digits once they reach this level of maturity, but Lowe's has gone against that trend by beating market expectations again and again in the last decade. Similarly, Home Depot also has some great dividend stats as well. They have a quickly growing dividend, albeit slower than Lowe's, with a 5-year dividend CAGR sitting at 15.2%. They also have 14 years of consistent dividend growth with 32 years of consistent payments. Although neither of these statistics are as great as Lowe's, you should still remember that in the grand scheme of things, they are pretty good. The reason the dividend growth for Home Depot has been lower is because their payout ratio is considerably higher than that of Lowe's. Lowe's, in comparison, has a payout ratio of only around 33%, leaving large room for future growth while still being able to invest in their core business. Both of these stocks have fantastic dividend yields, but as it currently stands, I think Lowe's has a better one. The starting yield when compared to Home Depot is a bit lower, but in return you get a lower payout ratio, higher CAGR, and longer history, which I think is a worthy trade. In addition, Lowe's is currently far cheaper than Home Depot is, which isn't all too common to see as these stocks generally track one another. However, I think Home Depot is the better all-around company as their larger market cap and brand presence gives them a slight edge above Lowe's. Either way, both of these companies are solid buys that could bring much needed dividend growth to any portfolio. The last of these duopolies on this list is probably the most infamous of them all, Coca-Cola and the PepsiCo company. These two drink manufacturers have dominated the soft drinks business for over 100 years now. These two companies share around 70% of the soft drinks market in the United States, with Keurig Dr. Pepper controlling a large majority of the rest of the market. These two stocks are absolute staples when it comes to investing for many people. Warren Buffett is one of these famous investors of Coca-Cola, and he has vowed to never sell a single share. I personally have sold out of my Coca-Cola position, which I have explained in a recent video, link in the description. However, I cannot deny its great company fundamentals and straightforward business model. Coca-Cola is the more mature of these two businesses, while Pepsi is the more growth-oriented of the two. Coca-Cola has a market cap of $259 billion with a PE ratio of 24, while Pepsi has a market cap of $235 billion with a PE ratio of under 29. Pepsi is able to afford this relatively high PE through its consistent expectation-beating results for the past decade. Both of them have similar starting yields, with them both just being around 3%. Pepsi has a 5-year CAGR of 6.63% that is trending a little bit higher, while Coca-Cola has a 5-year CAGR of just 3.36% that is also trending slightly higher. The great dividend CAGR has been possible by PepsiCo's larger growth for the past 10 years or so. A good portion of this growth has been due to their portfolio not including just soft drinks. PepsiCo, unlike Coca-Cola, has an impressive brand portfolio of snacks and other food items. They own Quaker Oats, Frito-Lay, and other drink companies such as Gatorade. I genuinely think that over 95% of Americans over the age of 10 have consumed some sort of Pepsi product within the past year. This is because their brand portfolio is truly spectacular. Their snack portion of their business is larger than many entire companies completely dedicated to just the snack space. Both of these two companies have high payout ratios, however, of 78.33% for Pepsi and 72.66% for Coca-Cola. This illustrates that the dividend may not have as much room for growth as it currently stands, however the companies still will continue their dividend hikes to expand on their long track record, especially Coca-Cola, who is a dividend king. These two stocks, in my opinion, are no-brainers to add to any dividend portfolio for the long term. Thanks for watching this video. Do you like the duopolies I chose to be on this list? What other duopolies do you think investors should be aware of today? I am somehow still a little bit sick, so apologies if my voice sounds a bit off. I should be completely fine by the time the next video comes out. Anyways, thank you guys for watching this video and for the continued support. I will see you all next time. Goodbye.